Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. Just a few things to say. The rearranged game versus Tranmere is now on February the 27th, which is Tuesday, so under the floodlights. We have had an additional allocation of Newport tickets. So if you are wishing to go to Newport at the weekend and couldn't get one previously, they are now available. So online tonight and then from the shop or on the phones tomorrow. Brilliant weekend for all our teams on Saturday. So the women's, the academy, sorry, not on Saturday, over the weekend, the women's academy and the first team all had wins and no goals conceded with all three games. So fantastic and well done to all of those. Under 18s academy lads will be on the fifth round of the FA Youth Cup playing on Friday night. So Friday the 2nd of February. At Sunderland away. So I'm not expecting many people will be going up for that, but it will be live streamed. So please look it out on the socials under the Academy posts and they'll tell you it will be live streamed. And one other thing, the fans forum tomorrow, we've had 6 tickets made available. So if anybody does want to come and they didn't manage to get a ticket, please let us know as soon as possible and we'll release those on a first come, first served basis. And personally for me, I'd like to say hello and everything to the people that I met at the Glen Hoddle event last night. It was lovely seeing so many Swindon fans and fans of this live stream actually there last night. So it was good to meet everybody and put some faces to names as well. So let's bring Vic on. Hello.
Hello, Chris. How are we? Are we okay?
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you very much. And contrary to rumours, no subjects will be vetoed tomorrow night at the Fans Forum. I can promise you that. And no questions about cheese. So please stop writing that.
Oh,
I'm a bit fed up with it, quite frankly. So stop it. Anyway, there we are.
Do you want to know my favourite cheese?
No, not really. No. Go on then.
Thanks.
What is it?
Brie.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, lovely.
Okay,
strong
just got that out of the way then. Brilliant.
Strong cheddar for me. That's fine. Right. SAS travel. 7 o'clock tomorrow night. They are available on the phone. So if you want to go to Newport, there are a few spaces left on SAS travel for Newport and Gillingham as well. Only a handful of spaces available for each of those places. If you've got a match ticket beforehand, that really is helpful. Because don't travel without a match ticket, I think is probably the advice. And the STFC Green Robins fans group. Now, they began at the start of January, and they've a handle of @Green Robins STFC. Now, the first project is back in Green Football Weekend, which is this weekend, the 3rd and 4th of February. Full details are available at www.greenfootballweekend.com. And you can help Swindon Town climb the Green Clubs League table. Swindon are currently 12th, Manchester United are top, and Swindon are second out of the League Two clubs. Now, to get behind the town, visit the Green Football Weekend website, and you can see the website underneath me. There it is. It's scrolling on nicely. And Chris Van Room is behind the initiative. Any help you can give Chris, and you can go to @ChrisRoom or @Green Robins STFC, or you can email stfcgreenrobins@hotmail.com. And we have all those details available for you here at the Official Supporters Club. But that's the weekend website, scrolling along the bottom there quite nicely.
And I will just add to that, Vic. The EFL have done a recipe book for Green Weekend, and all the clubs have got involved, and some of the players or staff have actually submitted recipes, so vegetarian, vegan recipes, and it is brilliant. Good. It is very, very good. So it's well worth doing that. So if you go to Green Weekend, the Green Football Weekend, you'll be able to download that recipe book as well. So well worth it.
Smashing. For those of us who have a vegetarian option, that'd be really nice. Yes. Actually, it's Newport this weekend, isn't it? I think it was the same weekend last year, wasn't it? When it was Newport, there was Green Football Weekend too. So there's a bit of coincidence.
Anyway, right, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. So we'll bring the panel on, and it's quite a bit of an international panel tonight. So we have got Nick from the US. We have got Declan from Ireland. And then homegrown, we've got Liam, Jamie, and Joe. There we go. Right, any questions, please leave them in comments and we'll get through as many as we can.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much indeed. Daz St. George says straight away, rumours. What rumours? Anybody know any rumours? I don't know any rumours. And hi, Malcolm. Good evening, all. I was impressed with the performance on Saturday, which was like how we played at the start of the season, even winning second balls. Now, I'm going to start with you, Declan, because I think as you're in Dublin, you'd like to take a bit of credit for this, and you're not too far away from where Gav Gunning started his career. Is that right?
Yes, good evening, Vic and gentlemen. Yeah, absolutely. I live in an area of Dublin called Crumlin, which is quite a prominent non-league side here in Ireland. And Gavin spent 2 years here with the club before he got his move to Blackburn Rovers. And my house actually backs onto the Astro pitch, which is currently in full use. I can see here this evening. So yeah, we'd like to take some credit for what's going on at the moment, certainly.
Okay, and we'll get into what might be happening in terms of the Irish League and what you think Swindon might do in a little while. Nick, welcome from the United States of America. What time of the day is it over there?
It's just gone 2 o'clock. We're 5 hours behind.
Lovely. And what were you doing on Saturday? Tell us what you were doing.
Well, I do this winter academy, so I was coaching Saturday, but when I do it, I get kids to sign in. So I have a little desk there and I have my iPad playing with the Swindon game on. So I was actually trying to watch the Swindon games. I'm checking the kids in, go and do coaching, pop back out, set it all up, let the other coaches take it, and then pop back and watch the game. But you can't
do they wonder what you're up to? Have they any idea what's going on?
No, I was showing some of the kids. I said, best team in the world here. They go, who's that? You know, they're thinking Premier League. And I said, no, Swindon Town.
Lovely. Joe, a very good evening to you. Welcome back to the panel. Lovely to have you along. Happy New Year. We haven't seen you since yeah. Saturday, how were you about that?
No, it was good. I'd actually missed the previous 2 home games, Forest Green and Colchester, because I had that horrible virus that was going around and I was really quite ill for a few weeks. And I must admit, I was a little bit like, oh, can I be bothered to go after recent weeks? And the kids wanted to go, and obviously we've got season tickets, so we did. And no, I enjoyed it. And I have to say, it's probably the first game I've enjoyed for quite a long time, to actually sort of come away thinking, yeah, we played well there, and it was an enjoyable game. Although, I mean, Bradford were poor, weren't they? I have to say. But I did think we looked much better as a team, and we just generally had more tactics and formation going on that there seems to have been recently. So, yeah, very good.
Jamie, there was a lot of talk beforehand about, the fact that Gav had those games in charge last year and they were fun and people enjoyed them and all that kind of thing. So there was a bit of pressure. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how much you can read into those or not, but fair play. Obviously, it did have an impact. I think it was just nice to come home with a smile on your face for once and not want to kick a dog or cat or whatever you got at home as you walk in. But I think it was a bit of a strange atmosphere to start off with. I thought it was a bit of a kind of, should we be expecting something? Should we be fearing something? No one's quite sure what was going to go on. But I think we started on the front foot for once. And I think that was probably the big positive for me, is we actually did seem to start well. And I don't think we've started well in that many games, and certainly the last 20 or so. So getting on the front foot and feeling like actually we were playing the ball forwards rather than backwards more often than not. And that's a bit of a change in tactics. So I think Gav probably set it up really well for Bradford. I mean, let's face it, they had three players that could turn slower than oil tankers at the back. And I think that was clearly what he decided to target, and it worked really well. So from a tactics point of view, fair play to him.
Actually, Liam, I thought the new signings played really well, didn't they? The Irish contingent, which you'll talk to Declan about in a minute, but Powell Glatzel, I thought he was fabulous. He just ran around, didn't he? And he's going to cause a lot of problems. I just thought, as has been previously said, you just came away thinking, do you know what? I really enjoyed that game of football.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. When we played Bradford back in October, they worked us out, didn't they? And that was the sort of start of the decline, wasn't it? We'd lost to Notts County, and then Bradford had the new manager bounce, and it seemed to they just knew what to do. And I didn't think they worked us out at all on Saturday, even though we all knew for the week that there was going to be a back four. Gosh, wasn't it nice not to let a goal in? In fact, they only had one chance, didn't they? And that was Jake Young in the second half. Well, they had two, actually, didn't they? Because old Cook had a go in the first half. But it was a good performance, solid all round. I like the look of Bycroft. I do. And actually, McCarthy and Blake Tracy, they already looked like a really good partnership there. I thought they quietly got on. The two centre-halves did a nice, solid job. And Glatzel's a great signing, isn't he? He's terrific. There's I hate making those comparisons. I'm going to make one. He looks like Jake Wakelin with even more tenacity, really. I thought it was. I mean, there was points that he was defending brilliantly, wasn't he? He'd go at the back and cover, and it actually meant that Charlie could have a rest instead of going to the back and playing an extra defender like he's been doing all season. I like the balance, and I will no doubt talk later about the 7 out, 5 in and what happens next. But I liked what I saw so far. I thought the 5 good signings, exactly that, were very good signings indeed.
Actually, you mentioned, Charlie, that ball for the second goal was sublime, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which set up the move. I mean, it was a fabulous goal, that second one. And you just came away thinking that's what you want to see in football. I mean, Declan,
and the header he did for Glatzel's chance that should have been a penalty.
Yeah, when he got pulled back.
That was a brilliant cross for Glatzel to take it. And Glatzel would have scored if he wasn't fouled.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that wasn't a penalty, but there we go. Right, Declan, this is actually it's from Andrew. One of the highlights on Saturday, Declan's face when he met Jimmy Allen. Now, I've got to take yourself into the Legends Lounge. Now, we brought Jimmy Allen to the game on Saturday, and he lives in North Devon, so we met up with him and brought him up and his grandson. And after the game, he came down into the Legends. Declan was there, enjoying a nice quiet drink, and we said, Declan, this is Jim. And he went, oh. It was a great moment.
I thought you said you wouldn't bring that up, Vic. Yeah, fair play.
It's a lovely moment when you realise that. I mean, one of the greatest of our goalkeepers with that question, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tremendous honour to meet him. All right, and he spoke fondly about one of his former teammates, of course, Ray Tracy, as well from that era. Sadly left us now. But going back to last Saturday, the first thing I'd say is that I think the benefit of the Tranmere game being called off, I think that was a big benefit to us. It gave us that little extra time to bed the players in, to get back used to Gavin again, those that weren't familiar with them already. Great performances, the lads said, from start to finish, full of energy, on the front foot, very, very positive. Got the goal through the penalty, and I was particularly happy for Dawson Devoid to get his goal on his home debut as well. But I'm sitting there at 10 minutes to go, and I'm looking up at the clock thinking, okay, now this is probably where it could start to go wrong for us, even though, as people have said, that Bradford weren't great on the day. No. But the most pleasing aspect of it was that we did keep the clean sheet. Our fans went home happy, and for once in a long time, the away fans went home unhappy.
Yes. I mean, you're right. I think everybody was sort of sitting there when 6 minutes went up of injury time thinking, still 6 minutes. You just never know, do you? Hi, Daz. He says the lads were playing for the manager and the badge. Hang on. It just scrolled up just at the wrong time. Hi, Sean. Had to laugh when Jake Young mingled with our players at the town end of the game, applauding the town end. Doubt that didn't go down well with Bradford. John says, why was Charlie waving at the end of the game? I don't know. I'm not going to read anything into that until anything.
Someone in the stand, I think. There was someone waving to him.
Yeah.
He said on the radio, Vic, that his his kids were there because he was looking after them for the weekend, so he bought them.
Oh, there you go. That's the answer then. Right. This is one for you, Nick. Richard says, would love to know what the Americans make of a Wiltshire accent. What do the Americans make of that?
Well, yeah, a lot of people still say that. I don't know. I'll never lose it. But they always, Americans love the English accent, don't they, over here? They're used to it now. I still get stick that when I'm at the fields, do you need a translator? Do you need this? Do you need that? So they always get it. But I said they all know around this area. Every club I've been at where I've lived in America, they all know about Swindon Town.
Excellent. They often think we're people from. Oh, there's.
Yeah, and I always,
Biden.
everyone knows it's Swindon and it's my club. Like I said, Saturday I'm coaching, but if I can watch them, I will. And like Jamie said, when I first started watching the game, I'm looking at it because it's only on my iPad. We're attacking, and I'm thinking we started so quick. I think we play in red, don't we? And I'm looking, and we're not in white. We are in red because we started quick. It really took me by surprise Saturday's game. But I thought, yeah, it is. We've had a great start to the game, but that really did surprise me on Saturday how quick we started with that team.
Yeah, well, we realised that from Gav performances last year when he was in charge. That it's not football as we know it, really. It's just get forward and have a go, isn't it? I mean, as a coach, how would you look at that? How would you analyse that?
But it is, to me, I think years ago everyone was on about the ticky-tacky football, and then you suddenly find teams had 70% of the play, didn't win. And now it's all play it out from the back. We got to play. But how many teams are we, like Norwich? I don't know if you see the Norwich-Liverpool game. They're trying to play out from the back, and they're playing in the Liverpool's hands. You can only, of course, we love to play it out from the back. But if the team's better than you, it's, you're going to invite pressure on. And that's no different, really, or I know I'm old, going back to Swindon in the Premier League. How many teams let us play it out from the back? They close us down and win it off us. If you're not good enough, you can't do it. We all love to do that and play the pretty football. But there's got to be a time when, if they're closing you down, then you have to go over the top. That's where the play is.
Yeah, there was a moment when we did play around with it at the back once, and I think Gav Gunning went a little bit mad with that. He got quite angry. I don't know if you noticed that. Kevin says, looking forward to Newport now, Joe. Goodness me. We're all suddenly thinking, whoa, it's a game on Saturday. Lovely,
I know. Yeah. I mean, I think it does. It definitely makes you feel so much better, doesn't it? When after you've won. I mean, hopefully it's not just the sort of the first game in charge, but I can't remember. Somebody did say it. It definitely did look like the players wanted to play more for the manager. I don't know whether Michael Flynn had lost the dressing room and things like that. I think we all heard those sort of rumours, but it definitely did feel like there was more of a sort of a team unity on Saturday. And hopefully they can sort of take that to Newport on Saturday and, get something from the game.
What was your impression of the new sign? I mean, I thought the keeper was excellent. That save from Young was fabulous, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I thought they were all good, to be honest. I'm not going to try and pronounce. You did a very good pronunciation of the name. I'm not going to attempt it. But yeah, no, he looked good. He was sort of here, there and everywhere, wasn't he, really? And, I think as Liam said, had he not been pulled down by the far post, he would have scored then. And the midfielder looked fairly solid, and it was nice to see him get a goal. And generally they looked good. So,
yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, we've got Tom Brewitt to come back yet, so that defence is going to look stronger and stronger, isn't it? So, and who knows what will happen between now and 11 o'clock on Wednesday night? Who knows? Best performance for a while. Noticed Charlie seemed to have played with a spring in his step. I'm going to say this, Jamie. I thought Charlie Austin was excellent on Saturday. That's his best performance for a long, long time.
I totally agree. But I think it was pointed out by Mr. Hawes on the radio that I was listening to as we were watching. If you probably looked at his heat map for that game, Charlie was far more focused in their half and between boxes. He wasn't trying to run the line. He wasn't trying to go and play because he's drifted quite naturally trying to find the ball in the last few weeks, isn't he? And ended up doing so much work. Whereas I think you felt a lot more that was other people doing the work around him, which let him kind of be that foil a bit more. And I think the pass for the goal did him the world of good as well, because he was clearly made that goal, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it just felt like he'd got a bit of a step in his shoes again. He was up for it, wasn't he? And whatever reason, he hasn't.
I did read that he was quite involved with the training with Gav Gunning last week. I don't know if that was true, but that might have had something to do with it, maybe as well.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised if that's that triumvirate, would you? Gav Gunning, Steve Milton-Hall, and Charlie Austin. I think he's taken his badges anyway, so it would be the ideal. He's a senior pro in the dressing room, isn't he? So you would imagine he would be in a way. Malcolm says, totally agree with the new signings, looking good so far. Sean says Glatzel was a menace to Bradford's defence. Stephen says, say hello to Declan. I was sat next to him on Saturday. He was nearly ejected when he started to mention clean sheet with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, they were threatening to take the season ticket back off me actually at that stage. Yeah. I apologise, guys, for that.
Well, I was going to say that's sheer madness. Surely a clean sheet at 20 minutes to go. What are you talking about? Unbelievable.
It's just the broadcasting side of it coming out of me, I think, But yeah. So made an impression on quite a few people, it seems, Vic, on Saturday.
Yes, you did indeed. You always do, Declan. Let's be fair. So Swindon 2, Bradford City 0. Austin with a penalty, of course, and then Devoy just before half-time. Double figures for Charlie Austin now for the season. And if you remember, of course, he scored in Gav Gunning's opening game last year, did he not, on his debut, which is almost a year ago, which is kind of a coincidence. First ever goal for Dawson Devoy as well, who was man of the match, and quite rightly, Liam, as far as I was concerned. I thought he was superb. He was everywhere, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Played really well. I've got to ask this. Declan, why are you a Swindon fan with that lovely Dublin accent?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If I had £1 for every time I was asked that for the last 30 years, I'd be quite a rich man, I tell you. Oh, it's family connections through going back way when family settled out in Shrivenham. And we used to go over in the early days and holidays and things like that, usually around the time the season was starting. And they used to go to the county ground. They brought me along. And after all these years, I'm the only one that's still going.
Because everybody else supports Leeds, Liverpool, Man United.
Yeah.
Man City.
It's
brilliant.
It's great, I mean, it's great. We have great fun in the airport going over on a Saturday morning or whatever.
Well, two of you.
Well, actually, brought a lad from the north with me on Saturday as well. So there's a few of us over here, all right. Yeah, so it's great to be.
Sorry, Vic, I'll answer that question.
Relative cheap transport and that to go across.
I flew back from Shannon a couple of weeks ago back to Ireland, and the airport, because Man United were playing that afternoon, was just full of people flying to Manchester who were Irish Man United fans. So
there was a great moment during the commentary yesterday afternoon when I was watching the Newport game, and they said they phoned up Graham Coughlin, and he said he was on his way to Bristol Airport to pick up 16 of his relatives to come over for the game. So he's a big Man United fan, isn't he? So there we are.
Have a good game. He had an excellent game. I'll tell you what, I liked. Wasn't it great to bring on a 6'4" left back?
Johnson? Yeah. Well, I was going to say, here we are, right? Let's go through this. A clean sheet for the new goalkeeper, Jack Bycroft. His second game, of course, he played at Crewe, but home debut for him. Paul Glatzel, Conor McCarthy, Farrell Johnson, and as you rightly say, Liam, to bring down that sort of height later in the game, and he looked really solid. That's his first proper league game as well, isn't it? He's only played EFL trophy games.
And he's 19. What's he going to be like when he's 21 or 22?
Yeah.
He's a unit.
Yeah. So what did you think of the new signings then, overall?
I thought they were excellent, and they were far, far better than I was expecting, if I'm honest with you. I thought, like I said, McCarthy brought a solidity at the back. He tackled well. He was clearly doing a lot of captaincy work without being the captain. Him and Blake Tracy worked really well together. I think the other thing that's going to work is there's going to start being competition for places, particularly at the back, with people not out, people injured and waiting to come back in again. We do, I think, need another right back, but I liked Godwin and Malife. I liked Dokes, what he did. I think he's a better right back. The first time I've seen him do that than he is as a centre half or in a back five. I thought that was really good, and Devoy just grew with confidence, didn't he? He just grew with confidence through the game, which was great to see. And he did it, and I don't know how much he's been playing recently. He's Bohemians, isn't he, Declan? He's from Bohemians originally.
He was, correct, yes.
But he hasn't played much for MK Dons over the last year. So, that would have been hard work for him, really. So he did all right. And just Glatzel, as I said earlier, was just all over the place. I really liked his energy. And I like the way that him and Charlie are working well together. I think I read online that there's a suggestion that, that Charlie's now like Painter and Glatzel's like a young Charlie, really. But there was that sort of movement off each other that was working really well. So we don't need Jake Young. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't need him. I would like Kemp back. I really would.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to Jake Young in a minute and how he was, because boy oh boy, he got a great reception from the town end, etc.
Well, he's one of our own.
Yeah, he wants to come home. Nick Smith. Today's signing still hasn't materialised. How many do we think actually will arrive by Wednesday, Declan? Have you got a crystal ball in front of you? How many will arrive?
Possibly one, maybe two. I've no idea. I know the positions I'd like to see us strengthen in. I think central midfield is one area, and I think we probably need somebody extra up front. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said we probably needed extra defenders and a goalkeeper, but I think we're actually okay in that area at the moment. But one interesting thing I noticed in the programme on Saturday was that Conor Brann was listed in the panel. Now, I don't know, was that a mistake or what? But my understanding was he had signed till the end of the season with Supermarine.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. I thought he was staying at Supermarine. Yeah,
staying at Supermarine. Yeah.
But
no, just in relation to particularly to Dawson Devoy, I've watched Dawson when he was with Bohemians for a couple of seasons. You could see that the lad had tremendous pedigree, tremendous talent, and careers in professional football, they're not always straight lines, are they? So he's come down to Swindon. He's been given an opportunity. I'm delighted that he played like he did on Saturday, because I know that's what he's capable of doing. Hopefully he can be more consistent and do that over the next few weeks, and maybe the Dons might be prepared to do some business with it in the summer.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Sean says, I met my Bradford mate in Swiss Chalet pre-match. First thing he said was, "You're going to beat us. We are terrible." Turned out he was spot on. Thank you to all the staff and the legends for staying open for the Bradford supporters after their coach brought down after the game. That's from Daz. And actually, in total contrast to Harrogate, when we were stood on the side of the road for ages and ages waiting for our bus to be sorted out. And, well, they didn't invite us in at all. It goes to show from the off, get at them, worked for our young lads last week as well. Man United didn't know what hit them. We'll get on to the under-18s as well between now and the end of the show. Overall, I thought Bycross kicking was very good, says Graham. Coaching simple football. The players understand it, says Tony. Simple football, Nick, is there such a thing? I mean, can you coach simple football? What is it?
Well, yeah, I believe in just keeping it simple, just getting the ball moving. Move it quicker, get it forward. You don't have to overplay with it. To me, too many teams now, like we said earlier, play it out from the back and overplay it and cause their own problems. There's nothing wrong with getting forward in 2 passes rather than 10 passes. And then let's be honest, it's more exciting when it's quicker. Rather than tippy, and you're thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do with it? And usually then just lump at it after a while because they got nowhere to go anyway. So I think there's, like you always say, the ball moves quicker than the players. So let the ball do the work. We don't need to be running with it if you don't have to. It should be a nice alternative to beat players.
I don't know if you saw Maystone's first goal on Saturday at Ipswich. That was a perfect example of Route 1 football.
Yeah, and it was a good goal. It weren't like they didn't lump it. They won it, played it out wide. The players made the run. He's great ball for him. And what a finish that was for the goal. It was a quality finish. And that was quick football, counter-attacking quick football. So that's a quality goal. Everyone who talks about that goal, you're not going to say, oh, that was a lucky goal. That was a good goal. Everyone says, what a quality goal from the movement, the quickness of it to the finish of it. So I'm a big believer in that. I think nowadays we're getting carried away with too many little passes and playing it out and getting caught with it and causing our own problems. Yeah,
I didn't realise afterwards that the Maidstone goalkeeper was the one who was involved with Harry McCurdy and he got sent off, wasn't he?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, he's already got sent off when he kicked him, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. And actually on that subject, it says, Ron says, hope we never go back to playing tippy football with nothing doing that. So there we are. Whatever is or isn't happening in the background, performances like that will turn out regardless the fans. I mean, Joe, that's I mean, what happens, what really matters to a lot of people is the green stuff, isn't it? What happens on the green stuff? I mean, it's been miserable, let's be honest.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and we've been accused of being negative, but I tell you what, there's a lot of positivity tonight, and rightly so.
Yeah, and I'll hold my hands up for being one of the quite negative people, and about sort of things that are going on. I think when it is bad on the pitch, you then get more hung up on things that are going on off the pitch, and it all sort of becomes a bit of a, it's really difficult to sort of see anything positive. But yeah, you can, I do feel more positive. I mean, I'd still like to, I know we're not going to go into debates about off the pitch, but I'd still like to hear a lot more from the owner about what the longer term plan is, etc. Because there's concerns there. But yeah, definitely it makes you feel a little bit more sort of positive when you come away and feel that you've enjoyed the game, and not sort of sat out there and come away feeling despondent and then had your Saturday night ruined because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a nice journey back, I can tell you what's that. The only reason we're not debating the off-field stuff tonight is because of the fans forum tomorrow night, and otherwise we would talk about it. But tomorrow night is going to be a heavy night, so doors open at 6:30. Fans forum starts at 7:15. So if you got a ticket, all the questions will be asked tomorrow night. Do not worry about that. But it is, Joe, nice to come away on Saturday night with a smile on your face and think, 96 minutes or whatever it was, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. It just makes such a difference, doesn't it? And for the rest of the sort of the weekend, and to know that they've put a shift in. But I think going back to the previous question about playing simple football, it just felt like the players on Saturday knew their roles and what they needed to do. Whereas in previous games, they've just looked clueless, quite honestly, sort of looking for a pass that wasn't there, and then they've ended up going backwards and just didn't seem to have any of that on Saturday. So it just was a lot more energy, and then it just lifts the crowd as well, doesn't it? So
it certainly does, and the atmosphere was great as well. And I think from the off it was good, wasn't it, Joe? Because we've been to games this season when, quite frankly, well, you could have heard the proverbial, couldn't you? But Saturday, there was a good atmosphere all the way through.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I think as when we got in there, everyone was a bit like, "Oh God, what do we expect?" So like we've already said. But no, from the off, it looked more organised, and you generally had a better feeling about the game. And I must admit, even when we went into added time, I didn't see us conceding, which is probably one of the first times for as long as I can remember. And I don't know if everybody realised, but that's the first clean sheet since the Newport home game back in October. I didn't realise it was that long until afterwards. So 3 months odd. It's a long time.
I mean, I don't mind conceding goals if you score more than they do, which is fine.
Yeah. Which we were doing in August and September.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly that.
It brought us back to those Haiti days when the sun was shining above the county ground in August, and we were, it was total football all the way through the game. You score 4, we'll score 5 or 6, or whatever the case might be. So I think full credit to Gavin and the crew for the work that they put in last week. But look, it's a start, and they've got to back it up on Saturday. Yeah. What Newport's reaction to yesterday's result will be interesting. They've got a Dubliner in charge themselves in Graham Coughlin, so be interesting, the two boys having a conversation, I'm sure, pre-match on Saturday. But as long as we leave Wales with the 3 points, I won't really mind.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how they do react. And there's speculation, of course, about Will Evans and whether he might be at Newport on Saturday or not, with the transfer deadline approaching on Wednesday night. Charlie was very, very vocal on Saturday and being really motivational, especially with the new lads, says Chris. John says, think Charlie is going to be number 2 next season. Well, we'll see. We have a fan from Derby with no connections with Swindon at all, apparently. That'd be nice to get a word from them. I'm from North Swindon, fan for over 65 years. So there are some people in Swindon who support Swindon. So just thought we'd say that. Jamie Russell brought these new signings in, and to think fans were slagging them off last week is laughable, says Brad. One of the signings was seen out with other players Friday. When asked, he didn't give much away. Was it Bill Shankly, says Ian, that said if you have the ball in the opponent's half, they're not going to score? There you are. It's a simple game, isn't it? It is a simple game, Jamie, but how many times have we sat there thinking, God, I'm hoping this is going to be finished soon, because it really is tedious stuff. But it wasn't like that on Saturday. You only wanted it to finish because we were winning 2-0.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think thinking back to a couple of the comments just now, though, it was simple. But actually, we played some really good stuff at points.
We did.
And there was some really quite nice attacking moves, particularly when we move the ball quickly. So I don't think we'll forget that, because I think if you compare that, my comparison was if you looked at what Bradford were doing, they literally were hoofing it forward with not a lot of thought to where it was going, and it was hoping that they would win something with the big man up front. I think there was a lot more thought about what we were doing than that. And I think there was a clear game plan, and we were trying to turn them around or build up through the paces. But I think we were trying to do it with a bit more thought than maybe we've been doing before, rather than panic stages. I thought it was interesting in the second half for me, though, because there was almost a 10-15 minute period where we were talking near me, and it was almost like the players started thinking for themselves rather than following the plan. And it went back to, let's knock it around at the back, and we've got centre back bombing forward. And it was almost like something set into them to go back to type, if you like. Whereas when we got reorganised again and we're actually just doing the jobs they were set out to do, we were a lot more organised. I think that was the difference. It's almost like holding them back from thinking too freely and doing the daft things, but sticking to the plan. But I thought the big bit for me was we looked a lot more solid in midfield, and it looked like we'd got a structure, and we weren't getting overloaded at every point. Because I can't remember that many times in the last 20 games or so where we were winning second balls. So it didn't matter if Charlie didn't win the ball that was played up to him, because 9 times out of 10 we were winning the second ball, and that's totally different to the way it's been, which allowed us to start to build up. So I think that pressure we started to build from that. It was just a completely different way of approaching a game. So hopefully that's what we'll see against Newport, because let's face it, when we played them the last couple of times in Newport, they've dominated us, haven't they? Physically, they've dominated us, and we've not really got much out of it at all.
Well, I think in relation to Charlie, you know, that the weight of expectation was off his shoulders. You know, he was remarkable freshness about him, and the leadership qualities that we know that he has came to the fore. And maybe under the previous regime, you know, he was pretty much stifled or straitjacketed, if you like, and now the shackles are off, and that can only be positive for the development of the team and bringing on the young players over the next couple of months. Absolutely.
Makes a better weekend, especially when those down the road lose as well. Don't know who you're talking about, not interested in them, but haha, it does. Yes, it does. This is from Phil, actually, on the point that you just made, Jamie. I thought Kane had an excellent game. Quietly got around the pitch, and has got a great eye from where their gaps are. He even won a number of headers, which was great for his size. And also, Liam, I'd say Seydou Khan. That was about his best game for a long, long time. He really had a good game, I thought, Saturday.
A little bit, excuse me, a little bit shaky at the beginning, I thought, because you're right. He's had a bad few weeks ever since the rumours came around that Wrexham were looking at him, funnily. But I thought, yeah, as the game went on, he had a solidity about him. I go back to my theory earlier, though. I think he needs some competition for his place. And I think that central midfielder, holding midfielder would be really useful. Something else I'm going to add to this, and I'm sure, Nick, you'll have a view on this as well, which is they're well coached. They were better coached this time, which is Declan's comment earlier about having the Tranmere weekend off. I think over the last 2 managers, with Jody Morris as well, they weren't that well coached. We've been desperate to have some defensive coaching for this team under Michael Flynn, and they just haven't had it. And this time, with an interim manager who's centre half by background, it felt like they'd had some defensive coaching.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, there we are, Nick. All right, you're the coach. How important is the coaching? I mean, it seems a bit of a daft question to ask, but how important is it?
Well, it's very important, you know. But at the end of the day, players got to know what you expect of them. You know, if you're overplaying it and that's what you want, then you can't moan at the players because that's what you're telling them to do. I thought, like, where I said I was working, but I was watching it, that what I liked about it was controlled, but it was getting the ball forward quickly. And we weren't just hoofing it, we were playing it through the midfield. That's what I liked about it. So it was, you can tell he's saying, I don't want 4 or 5 passes sideways before we do one forward. It was our first touch is on the front foot, can we go forward? If you can't, then all right, we don't want to lose possession. As you said earlier, if we got the ball, they can't score. But your first option is, you could see that with him, was I want to go forward. My first option is, can we go forward? And it was good. It was going through the midfield, getting it to the forwards, like you say. That second goal was absolute quality.
Superb. Yeah.
You know, the ball by Charlie Austin was, you know, he don't get an assist for that because he's the pass before. But really, that ball was absolute quality by Charlie Austin, and it pulled back and then it scored. So that was a quality goal. But you know, that's what I like about it. That's what I like watching it. It was. You can see they're under control, but their instructions are, we get it forward as quick as we can under controlled play, which was good to see and good to watch. That's why. It wasn't a boring game. It wasn't just lumping it, which, you know, even though you win, you want to win. But if it was just balls getting lumped, that would drive you nuts, really. But I just thought it was a good all-round performance by him.
Yeah, it was. And that second goal is one of the best I've seen in a long, long time in terms of team play. It was just superbly done right from front to back, wasn't it? FBT, Fraser Blake Tracy, one of his best games this season, without question. No one's mentioned Kokolo. Thought he put a good shift in, says Graham. Very good. John says, loved how vocal Gav was on Saturday. Could hear him in the Don Rogers. What I liked about Saturday, if a player lost the ball, the player got back behind the ball to defend. Right, let's have a look at the table. Stockport at top. They've got 57 points from 28 games with a goal difference of 33, for goodness sake. Wrexham in second. They've got 52 from 27 with a goal difference of 17. Mansfield, 51 from 28 with 23 goal difference. And then in the playoff places, Barrow, 50 points from 29. Crewe, 50 from 29. Then come MK Dons with 48, who crept up there lately. And Notts County have dropped down to 7th, 44 from 28. Swindon are 14th, 37 from 29. Newport, 37 from 28. And then at the bottom two, Sutton, 21 from 28. Forest Green, who look in real trouble, 19 from 28. How do you read that league table, Liam? And I know you're going to say, well, you just look at a page and it's written down. But how are you going to read that table?
No, I'm looking at it as well.
There you go.
It's a lot of 6-pointers coming up.
Yeah, there are.
6-pointers either way, looking up or down. I think, well, we won't get a 10-point penalty, will we? Because Peterborough didn't. So I'm hoping on that one. So there's a lot of 6-pointers, but we won't do a Bristol Rovers.
No.
Get into the top 3. I think, look, we've got 3 winnable games this month, haven't we? Really? Or it's 2 now, isn't it? But with this weekend and the following week, you know, we've got every opportunity to take advantage of this. I'm going to mention it now. Gav hasn't managed an away game yet, ever.
No, he hasn't. No.
All 4 of his matches with the 3 wins and a draw have all been at the county ground. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. Though it is only just down the road, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he's had 2 postponed as well, don't forget. I think, but he had 2 home games postponed, didn't he? The Tranmere one, and there was one last season as well, which was called. We don't want a mid-table malaise, do we? We had that last year. It'll be really nice to actually have a little bit of some interest. And then we'll do that typical Swindon thing and blow it at the end of the season. It's cool. It's Swindon. Yeah, that's it, isn't it, Declan? It's Swindon. Who knows what's going to happen? You know, we could storm into the playoffs. It might go flat as a pack. We just don't know with Swindon, do we? Never know.
No, we don't. That's the big problem with it. But there are some big 6-pointers all right coming up. There's no doubt. Newport this week. I think it's Salford at home in the following week. Yeah. Not exactly setting the world on fire themselves either, you know. So we've got a tremendous opportunity to make up some ground. And a lot of optimism naturally and quite correctly after last Saturday. But I think we've just got to temper it a little bit as well and not get overly carried away with ourselves. That's the important thing. But at the moment, certainly, guys and ladies, in Gav, we trust.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we've seen it 2-0, William. We're all going, wow, fabulous. But long way to go in the season. Newport last 8 in the league, lost, drawn, lost, won, drawn, 1-1. So there's record recently, Nick, is pretty good, isn't it? You know, it's a pretty solid record recently. And we always struggle at Newport. It's not one of the places we love going, is it? The pitch has rugby played on it. You know, it's a difficult place to go. They're generally quite physical, quite direct. But how important is confidence as well?
That's a big thing. You know, and it's nice, like you say, we've brought a couple of big 6-foot+ defenders in, so that's going to give the team a boost. You know, are they going to be on a low after losing to Man United because they come back really well at 2-2? Then you know, and even though you're supposed to lose to Man United, but when you come back to 2-2, you're on a high, and then suddenly you lose it, so they're on a low. It's going to be interesting, you know. But the way I think if Swindon carry on the front foot, I could see us winning there. I really can.
Yeah, you don't know what effect that Man United game has had on them, because they would have put a lot of effort to get into that, wouldn't they? And emotionally as well, there would have been a lot of effort in that game.
Yeah, so emotionally and physically, they're going to be pretty drained after. I know they got a week to get ready and it's a game, but still mentally, that's the worst one, is mentally it will have the effect on you.
Let's try not to let a lot of shots in from distance, eh? Because I don't know if you saw that first Newport goal. That was quite a hit, wasn't it? That was fabulous. We'll see how far we've come on Saturday. Wales, Will Evans is a handful for sure, if he's still at Newport, of course. Charlie scored in every game for Gav. Get your money on him on Saturday. Well, he has. You're absolutely right. And he is our top scorer at the minute. 10 goals and 5 assists. Then comes Hepburn Murphy, 4 goals and 1 assist. Blake Tracy, 2 and 4. Then Shea, 2 and 2. Our top scorer is still, of course, Kemp with 16 and 8 assists, and Young with 16 and 4 assists. Hepburn Murphy, Joe. We haven't mentioned him yet. I mean, I thought he looked pretty good. He was a handful, wasn't he, on Saturday?
He did. I mean, I didn't realise how long he hadn't played for, actually. It was mentioned, I think, on the radio on the way home. It was the MK Dons game away. I knew it was a fair old while. But yeah, no, he did. And he wasn't happy about coming off at all.
No, he wasn't.
He was very miffed about being brought off. But yeah, no, and actually, I think there was a couple of chances quite soon after he'd gone off that you sort of felt, he may have done better with them than Shade had done. But yeah, you don't know, do you? But no, he definitely looked quite fresh and seemed up for it. So that's always good. And
another one, Joe, came on and I thought did all right. A product of the academy is Anton Dvorak, who really did well.
There was a couple of things. There was one where he lost the ball, but then he really recovered quite well just on there, sort of the edge of the penalty area, and then sort of won it back. And there was a couple of sort of headers and things, and he did. He didn't look out of place at all. So yeah, it's nice to see him come on.
And also, talking of the academy, Jamie, of course, they're away at Sunderland on Friday night with a 7 o'clock kickoff. But to beat Man United in the FA Youth Cup, we should say that is a magnificent achievement, isn't it? Because, you know, when you look at youth football, Man United are held up as like the top team, aren't they?
Well, let's face it, you shouldn't have a chance, should you, really? I mean, the amount of money, investment, and the whole setup for their academy or their junior teams is going to be probably much higher budget than we've got for our entire club.
Yeah.
And most of them are either international of some sort or come from, you might not know which country it is, but it's kind of a pick from around the world, isn't it? So I think it's one of those where absolute credit to it, but it's one of those interesting, isn't it, that all the media is about how rubbish Man United were and how they lost it rather than the little club kind of deserving to knock them out, if you like. And I guess there'll be an element of that with Sunderland as well, that if you look at the size of club and size of academy, then we shouldn't really have a chance. But why not? You know, it looks like they're a confident bunch, aren't they? And I guess the one thing that's happened is a lot of them have had some exposure to around the first team, rightly or wrongly, or the bench this season, haven't they? Which might not have helped the first team, but it's probably helped them.
Well, they won at Luton, of course, in the previous round. And actually, what impressed me against Manchester United was the fact that they had a go right from the off. And I don't think Man United were expecting that. And it really put them out of their stride. And I thought it was a terrific display. And congratulations to everybody at the academy. And the thing is, Liam, if you've got results like that in the academy with players coming through, I know people have said about how young the bench is these days, but my goodness me, they're getting invaluable experience, aren't they?
I was away with work that night, but I did manage to see a lot of the game, and the second goal particularly was a brilliant second goal.
It was.
What's his name? Boten Amin. Wow. Somebody said we got him from QPR or something. They let him go. He looks, if he's guided through and everything, he could be a great one for us in the future. I was really impressed. It's just great to see, isn't it? Well managed, working through, despite everything that's going on in the background. It's just great to see that development happen. And Man United, weren't they unbeaten all season?
Yeah, I think they're top of their league by street. You know,
Yeah, they haven't lost yet. Just, you know, and we all know the tradition of their youth academies and everything else. But just brilliant to see, and yeah, exactly that. What was there? 4 or 5 players now with first team experience, which we've never had in the last 10, 15 years, really.
I watched on MUTV, and to be fair to them, right, even though their team were being beaten, they were highly complimentary of Swindon the longer the game went on. I think the thing about it was the whole club needed a boost and a lift at that particular time, and it was great that the young lads were able to provide it for us. And I just want to take this opportunity to wish them every success on Friday night, and let's hope they can advance to the next round.
Well, I don't know definite whether it's live stream, but I hope it is, so that we can all watch the youth team at Sunderland, and we wish them all the very best, because that was a tremendous result. Man United all turned up with their very nice suits on, and they look very professional, as a Man United team you would expect to do, and just Swindon turned them over, which is fabulous. So we can't sort of complain about that. Now let's talk about the Irish League. Then
They met Sedan the week before, didn't they? So maybe they need to do that again. And he did a motivational
say that again,
thing.
Liam.
They met Sedan, didn't they? Sedan Rogers.
Yeah.
How your heads, everybody. He went to meet them beforehand, didn't he, and talk about their famous victory all these years before, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because they played against Man United in the Youth Cup final, and of course George Best was playing, David Sadler, people like that. You know, some great Man United teams.
Is it Friday, Vic? This Friday?
Friday night at 7, yes. I think it was originally going to be the day of the Salford game, but it's definitely this Friday night at 7 o'clock.
So do we rush a youth team goalkeeper back from there on the bench on Saturday?
All will be revealed on Saturday at 12:45. We'll see.
You can't stay and celebrate. You'll get on a car and get back.
Yeah, get in the car from Sunderland to Newport, quick. Declan, I was going to say, we were talking about the Irish contingent, and you were saying about how many great players there are in the Irish League at the minute.
Yeah, we've got a very exciting crop of players coming through our league as it becomes more professional all the time. And a lot of English clubs have now cottoned on to this particular fact themselves. And if you look at 2 of our lads who played on Saturday in Dawson, and also Conor McCarthy from Bohemians and Cork City, respectively, were picked up by the MK Dons and Barnsley. So it just never ceases to amaze me in some respects how a club like Swindon doesn't appear, maybe they do, and if I'm wrong I apologise, but maybe they don't seem to have the scouting network in Ireland, because you can pick up these little gems and develop them. There are many examples over the years. Ronan Coughlin is one lad who's gone from Waterford to Fleetwood. There's Bristol City have come and picked up a couple of St. Patrick's Athletic players, the cup winners over the last couple of seasons as well. So the talent is there, and as I said earlier on, I'm absolutely delighted for Dawson Devoy particularly, because I watched him for a couple of seasons when he was at Bohemians. Always felt he had the ability to make a good career within the game. Little disappointed for him the way it had worked out at MK Dons, but absolutely delighted when he came to Swindon. And at one stage, we could have had 3 Irish lads on the pitch last week, had Liam Kinsella still being at the club as well, but that didn't work out for whatever reason. But there's definitely talent here, young talent, and but the thing is, our clubs are not prepared anymore to let them go for practically nothing, which is good from our point of view over here. But there's definitely the talent there, and I'd like to see Swindon and other teams come over and have a look at the talent that we've got. They'll be pleasantly surprised.
We signed Conor Brand from Galway, by the way. Conor Brand came
from
Galway. Conor Brand was signed from Galway
Galway
United. Yeah. I love the way you said Liam Kinsella, because that's
so do I. Absolutely right.
I've been saying that all season, and people have been laughing at me.
Yeah, no, because Mark Kinsella used to play for Colchester, and then he went on to play for Charlton, I think, didn't he? Everybody called him Mark Kinsella, but it was Kinsella, and absolutely right. We should say that, of course, the under-18s won at Cheltenham on Saturday, 4-0. Josh Key's got 2. Miles Abode's played for the first team, and Alistair Stewart also on the score sheet. Alistair Stewart, who was great actually at the Junior Reds Christmas party. So they've been teaching the right things.
And also the game against Man United, didn't they have a couple of their key players out injured as well? There was a couple that they didn't even have, perhaps who would have played as the first 11. So even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean said there was a Man United fan who works at their club overheard talking about their next trip in the next round. So there you go. And Darren Fletcher's son, number 9 for United, outshone by Armin, who looked class on the night. Waterford was going to be an outlet for us, of course, when some chap called Power had dealings. We'll all remember that. What about in America, Nick? I mean, do you ever come across players who you think could do a job? I mean, it's a growing game over there anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good talent over it. There really is. But over here now, they have so many leagues. It just kills. You got to play in this league if you're a top team or if you're a top player. And years ago, when I first came here, I thought it was run better than it is now. Now it's all about the money. You're playing all these leagues and you paid for it. But there's a lot of good talent out over here. A real lot of good talent. And I've spoke before about, like, in the summer, I might be actually bringing 2 teams from California over to do a little 8-day tour in England. And we're going to play games. And because of Jono at the community, I'm speaking to Jono about playing games there. I've got a mate at Bournemouth, might be playing it. Because my big thing, I've said to Americans, they all on about the college system here. It's about coming to England and playing. Because you can play in England now and get your education in England at times, which could be better than what it is here. But there is a lot of good talent over here because they play all the time.
What about, though, if they had an opportunity to move to play for a club like Swindon in the lower leagues? I mean, would they take that leap or not?
Well, I remember years ago speaking to Jimmy Fraser when he was, he's at Chelsea, and he reckons it was just too many hoops because they're non-European, and whether that's changed now, I don't know. Because I know years ago I had a friend who actually had a part-time club, a semi-pro in Belgium. And it was a lot easier to send them to Belgium for like 2 or 3 years and they get a European passport. And then they could go on into the bigger leagues. But so Belgium was a really good league for the non-European players to go and play for a couple of seasons, 2 to 3 years to get your thing. But I know, every year it changes. But there is a lot of good talent because they're athletes because they play so many different sports over here.
Yeah.
So you've always got the athlete. That's the beauty of it over here.
If you spot anybody decent, Nick, you know where to send them, don't you?
Yeah, I always would. I'll be honest with you, last year, I actually spoke to Sandro about it. I said, look, if you have an even link in America, let me know. I'm always willing to help out Swindon Town because that's my club. That's the club I'm going to send kids to. It'll be Swindon Town.
We should also say well done to the Swindon Town women who beat Southampton yesterday. Georgia Van Dries with the goal, 1-0 victory for the women. So they're on a good run too. Well, let's go through and say what we think about Saturday then, Joe. I mean, all right, we're all, I jokingly said to somebody, he sent me a text, somebody I know who's next to fan. He said, you'll get carried away now. I said, of course I will. We're going to win the Champions League now. It's a long, long way to go before we get anywhere near that. But it did fill you with a bit of sort of, do you know what? I'm going to go to Newport and actually look forward to going to Newport. So what do you think about Saturday?
I think we might win. I think we might win. I think we'll concede. I think we could win 2-1.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah. Jamie?
I'm hoping it's not a one game revival. So I think we'll concede as well, but I think it might be 1-1. I don't think there'll be much in it. I don't think it'll be pretty because their pitch didn't look great either, did it? So
No,
no.
No, it never did, to be fair, did it? Let's be honest. It's better than it did a couple of years ago, I must admit.
Yeah.
But I'd take a point right now, Liam, wouldn't you? But as you quite rightly said, Gav's not managed an away game yet, so that'll be an interesting thing to see.
I think Welsh Government gave an awful lot of money to spend on that pitch because of the Brent Dragons rugby team playing there. So it's quite better than it used to be. It depends on who's in and out the next couple of days, to be honest.
Yeah, good point.
Because we don't know yet. There could be a couple of hours out the door as well still. If Wrexham were watching Khan on Saturday, they might sign him after all, for example. I'll go on today's squad 2-1 to us. But I might change my mind after Wednesday.
Okay, so that's 2 wins at the minute, a draw. Where are you going, Declan?
Yeah, I think it'll be a battle, tough game. We'll learn a lot more about the character of certain other players come Saturday afternoon. I agree. I think we probably will concede, but they've got the ability to score goals as well. So I'm going to put my head on the block and say we can come away with a 2-1 win.
3 wins so far in a draw, Nick. Where's your particular allegiance?
I never go against Swindon. I'd lose more money than I'd win. I've always gone. So I go 3-2. I reckon there's going to be goals in the game. I reckon there's going to be goals in the game. 3-2 win.
I don't mind as long as we're not 3-2 up with 8 minutes of injury time to go.
Yeah. Or 4-0 up with 10 minutes to go.
Oh, yeah.
Accrington game. That was
Accrington.
ridiculous. Oh my God! I was watching that over here. I couldn't believe it.
I tell you what, for those of us who were there, you were there, Jamie, weren't you?
Yeah.
Accrington? Yeah. For those of us who were there, we were sort of saying, "Oh God, it's 4-3," and then everyone cleared off the line with the last kick of the game.
Yeah, they should have scored. I know.
Yeah, it's like, wow. If they'd had 10 minutes more, they'd have won that, I think, on the night, to be honest. And it was cold, but they gave us free hot chocolate drinks, which is really lovely of them. So there we are. So I make that 1, 2, 3, 4 wins, 1 draw. So I'll make it 5 wins then, shall we? Let's go positive. And Devoy play on Saturday does remind me of Baldry. I thought MacArthur definitely reminded me of Baldry on Saturday. I thought he was, that sort of player. So there we are. Quite a positive night for once. And, I'm not going to say anything else. But after Saturday, why wouldn't you be? So there we go. All right, Chris.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us on the panel. Thanks, everybody, for joining us online. We will be back next Monday, but of course, we will see whoever's coming to the Fans Forum tomorrow. There has been lots of questions over if it's going to be live streamed or not. We are waiting for confirmation from the club details to make sure that it does run perfectly. So we will confirm that by socials as soon as we know. Okay, report on Saturday. Okay, goodbye.